chapter 1 day 6. Yeah. Just if you want to label at the top. All right, so we talked about from the very beginning something like a dot plot. What was an example of something you guys said of something we would not want to do a dot plot for, but you guys had numerical answers for it? What? Phone number. What was another one? Address. So let's say we're going to do it by house number. Why would we not want to do a dot plot? There are too many different things that I could have a dot for. So what could we do with it instead?
Ones that start with a certain number.
Like ones that start with a certain number, or group them together somehow. I don't want to use that example. We'll go with what's on your paper. It has lists there. It says how to. I'm probably not going to follow that right now. Every time you get a set of data, what are the two numbers you should look for? And let me tell you, histograms are something that will be used for the entire rest of the year. I'm teaching them today. Make sure that you catch on. All right, what are the two numbers I look for? Always. Highest, lowest. What's the lowest? 15. What is the highest? Is it 30, 47? I don't think I see anything more than 47. So I know I need to cover at least to 15 and at least to 47. What do I usually find? What's the mathematical thing that I, as of right now, usually find with min max? Which gives me what? All right, so I know I need to cover a range of 32 numbers. Different problems are going to be addressed differently, and that's why I'm not using the instructions on the front. Sometimes I'm going to give you, I might write this. Number of classes. Class width, but you don't know what that is yet. Or it could be nothing. We're going to start with the example where I give you number of classes.
Are we talking about classes or soft things?
Classes, I haven't explained what classes is yet. Classes are groups, actually.
Oh. Okay. I was totally not.
Yeah, no, that's good clarification. Alright, so I'm telling you that we want to make 6 classes. I have to take this group and split it in 6 boxes. So what do you think I'm going to do? Like if I give you, hey, you need to cover this much space, and you need 6 people that have to fit in that space, what are you going to do with it? Divide it. So you don't know that it's called class width yet, but I want you to write it this way. And remember what I said yesterday about I'm going fast. I expect you guys to stop me at any point as much as you need to. So when you said I divide for writing words out, I divide what by what? Words. Because you're thinking, okay, I've got this much and I want to split them up between those. So for this example, that'd be 32 divided by 6. What does that give me? If I only give each group 5, would that cover my range? No. Because of that, if we're doing it by whole numbers, it makes it a whole lot easier. You have to go up to the next whole number. Now, do we usually round 5 1/3 to 6? No, we're not rounding here. If we only do 5, we wouldn't cover the full 32, so we need to go up to make sure we've at least covered that much. So now, we're going to write out our class limits. So these are how much are going to be in each group. That's an LI. Where do you think I should start?
Wait, so why did we change it to 6?
If I give, let's say we have to cover 32 feet and I have 6 groups. If I only give each group 5 feet, we wouldn't cover the whole thing. Well, it's easier to do whole number. Technically, you don't have to, but yes. Where do you think I should start? What makes sense where I should start? Don't overthink this. This should be the easiest question. What?
15.
Because that's my lowest one.
We'll just go on that 6.
Now, this is where the issue comes in. So don't write with me yet after you've written that. We go up by 6. That makes sense, right? That's what this tells me to do. So what is 15 plus 6? Where do you think I should write that? That's where the issue is. So most people want to write 21 here, that this group would be 15 through 21, but that is not correct because that would be 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and that would be how many? 7. So you write it below. So now you can write with me. So plus, come on, pen. I might write plus class width. I might have to switch to writing on something else. So you add 6. So when I add 6, I get what? 21. So I'm writing 21 here. Are y'all good with my note? You have to have decent notation over here for your notes. Mine looks terrible. I would either write I'll probably write something that says plus 6, and that is my class width. And then, so just for notes wise, I'm going to show that I'm adding 6 again. Still your class width. I'm going to slide everything up. So I'm not doing anything extreme, anything here. I'm just adding 6. So my next one's going to be what?
And why are we writing out these limits?
This stuff?
Yeah.
This is your notes. This is your notes that you look back at it.
The class limits.
It'll make a whole lot of sense, but it would kind of back up for me to tell it to you. Just keep going. All right. Add 6. So when do I know when to stop? What's my next one going to be? When do I know when I stop? When I have 6, because it told me I want to make 6 of them. 6 groups. So here I'm at and everybody good with me there? All right, so my first group starts at 15 and it's going to contain everything from 15 to what? And why did I pick 20? Because it's 1 before 21. So this is going to be through 44. So this is where probably the most people mess up. Some people are going to say 47 because it's the number we have to go through. But then what happens with my different groups? They're different sizes. And do we want that? No. So I basically, the way I explain it, and you can do it more than one way, I explain it like if we continued this, the next one would be what? Which means this one is through. Now, technically, you could just add your class width to this one, and that's fine too. So all we have done is made our new groups. We've made 6 groups that we're going to use to put those numbers that we have into. Everybody with me there? We just made the 6 groups. Okay. So that's what our 6 groups are going to be. Now we have to put them somewhere. We're literally going to tally. And eventually some of you are going to skip this step, and that's fine. So what is the very first number in my data set, like in order? 15. So I'm going to put a tally here. And if I have my paper in front of me, I'm going to mark through 15 so I know where I am. No, that is not the first number of the data set in order. 20 is the first one. Then 15. Right.
I thought in order of small.
That's my bad. And then what? So 23 falls here. I hope y'all think I'm going super slow right now for this part. My next number is 29, which falls here. Everybody go with what we're doing? Keep going. Keep tallying for the rest of them.
And if it repeats, we do another count.
Yes. I've never thought about asking it this way, but seeing if y'all can make this connection. If I ask you to make a histogram with exactly 4 classes. No, I don't want to ask it that way. Never mind. No, I don't want to confuse that. All right, so literally all we're doing is tallying up to see how many are going to be in each group. If I do a group of, if I do something with 3 groups, how descriptive do you think our data would be in a graph with 3 bars? Would that be very helpful? No. What if I have a graph with like 700 different bars? Is that very helpful? Typically, when we do a histogram, 6 to 10 is usually about what you would expect. I usually say like 5 to 7, somewhere around in there. All right. So you did all these tallies. I'm not going to sit here and write them all up. But I can do the exact same thing and just write down how many tallies there are. If I just write down how many tallies there are, what do we call that word? There could be more than one word for it. Like how many are in group 15 to 20? How many were in group 15 to 20? What can I call the? Could be counts. There's something that I put on the left side of a histogram or a graph sometimes. And so we'll get to that a lot as counts is correct, but you'll start to see we usually just call it frequency. The example I have in my notes are a little bit different. So I'm going based off of the numbers you're telling me. How many were, so if we have discrepancy, make sure we talk about it. How many were 21 to 26? 27 to 3rd, to D2? Are we in agreement for these or not? Okay. Next one. Next one. And so we just did tallies instead of going through the whole list to be like counting how many are between 19 and 15 or 15 and 20 and then writing it down. Tallies help. Some people will completely skip tallies, especially once I let you use your calculator, and that's fine. How many people have a graphing calculator with them today? Wait, how many people do not have a graphing calculator with them today? Okay, I'm not going to do the calculators. Bring it tomorrow, or I'll have my calculators ready tomorrow. We have to start using calculators then. Not what I wrote here. What could I find out of frequencies? I could convert them to what? Not what I wrote here. What can I convert frequencies to? Percents. I could do that from there. Something else that we're not going to deal with right now, but I want to talk about it while we're talking about this part, is cumulative frequency. So they're accumulating. How many are between 15 and 20? Easy question. How many are between 15 and 26? So I'm just adding the next one in. So then here would be, because I'm just at now plus 9 would be, then most of the time I'm going to want you right here to double check and make sure that you had the right number so that you didn't miss one. So this whole process, all it did was group them for us. I could have given you this exact same problem, and instead of saying make 6 classes, I could have said use a class width of 6, and it would have done the same thing. I could have said use a class width of 7, and it would just change these numbers. If I give you the class width, it's less work. All right, now making the actual graph itself. X-axis, Y-axis. numbering the x-axis is basically the most important thing. When we made a basic bar graph, do you remember something I told you that I am picky about with the way you draw the bars? Not touching, because they are separate things. Now here, 15 to 20, is that completely separate than 21 to 26, or is that like a continuation of? So the bars always touch in a histogram. So what is the first number you think I should write here for my class limits? 15. Always start at my minimum. Let me show you the wrong thing first. I will count off dramatically I'm not worried about the height of boxes right now. If you do something like this and write that this bar is 15 to 20 and this bar is 21 to 26, I will count off a lot. That is not how this works, because that would be like this separate bar starts and ends here, and they are completely separate. Let's not even think about bars right now. I started by writing this number down. That is right here. So what do you think the next number I should write down is? 21. So these should be spaced equally. And then 27. My spacing could be better. What's the last one that I write? What's the last one that's one of my classes? All right, two options of what can go here. You can always write generic or context specific. Class limits would be generic. For this specific problem, it would be what? This one's caffeine. And it's what, milligrams? I can say that in the title, which is fine. You're correct, absolutely. But the caffeine content is measured in milligrams, right? Or does it say in this problem? Okay. And then I'm going to stick with what you said then per 8 ounce serving. All right, what's going to go on the y-axis? Frequency. How high do I need to go? I'm just going to graph this. So this one I'm going to deal with later. I just wanted to talk about it right now. We're just actually going to graph these. So I just need to make sure I at least make it to 12. Some of you are going to go past 12. That's fine. Probably just going to go back to 2s. One thing I was quite surprised with was some of your terrible spacing. Like, I realize on the board I'm going to do a terrible job spacing. But, like, there were people who didn't use the lines on the paper and just, like, wrote numbers. And then some people use the lines on the paper, and sometimes they skipped a line for 10, and sometimes they skipped a line and a half for 10.
Why do we need to go to 12 at least?
Because it's our highest frequency here, like this list. All right, so our first bar starts at what number? 15. this is the one thing that's kind of a little behind the scene type thing. This is a continuous number line here. So it goes and it stops. The next bar starts at what? 21. So this bar that starts at 15 goes until the next bar starts. And it's a height of, which one was this? So then our next bar directly starts at 21, goes all the way before the next bar starts, and this one is a height of, our next bar goes up to 12, is that right? Obviously my widths are off a little bit. And then 9. And then what's my next one? 2. Is that right? So what do you see as an issue with where I am? So I need a 6th bar. It starts at 45. It stops before what number? So you actually have to write the next one that would be there, which is why I circle it. I write it this way and say these are the ones that have to be on my number line. $15, $21, $27, $33, $39, $45, and $51 are all the ones that are on the x-axis. So that I have enough for that bar. I have given you all of the numbers in order to make this graph, right, on paper. Does a histogram retain all of the individual values of a data set? So think about the question with stem plot versus box plot. Does a histogram retain all the individual values? No, because they get grouped. So I don't see if there's like 4/28 or there's not. So histogram is another one that loses the individual values. Now, if I asked you to find the median, could you find it based off of what I've given you? Because I've given you all the numbers, right? If I only give you this graph and you never saw those numbers, could you find the median? Not exactly. You'd be able to know which bar it's in, but not exactly. Or at least approximate. So there are times where we still estimate what things are or say no apparent outliers, but that would only be if you physically cannot calculate it yourself. Let's go ahead and add a title before I forget this. Histogram of caffeine content. What is it? I want to do it the way it's worded on your paper. What does it say? While I'm thinking about it, this graph's, because I only went by 2s here, there's no question about if this bar, like what the numbers of these bars are. I'm kind of thinking ahead here. If I just gave you this graph and asked you to find where the median is, you would do something, and don't write on yours because this will get confusing. How many are here? How many are here? Y'all know these numbers. How many are here? Don't write this on your graph though, because I don't want that to be overlapping. This is what? So I could add these up, but I know that I get what? 38. 38 plus 1. 39 divided by 2. 19 and a half. It's right below 40. 4. 13. Right? You with me there? Just add them up. This would get me to what? 25. So where would the median fall? Somewhere in this bar. Does that make sense? So you can still use stuff like this to know where the median is, but maybe not the exact one. I want to go ahead and immediately go straight into practicing this one. I need to know, what's our lowest number, 81? On the one on the right. What's the highest number look like? 145 maybe? Is there anything above 145? So, 64. Let's go with, I want you to do everything we just did with this one. And it tells you the IQ scores of 60 fifth grade students, so tell me how many there are. I want you to do 7 classes. So I want you to go through the whole process of making the chart with the class limits, frequency, class limits, tally frequency, go ahead and practice cumulative frequency, and then make the histogram. And 7 classes. Yes. Now let's do, because it's going to be an easy number. Oh well, let's just do 7 classes this one. It's going to make it easy on me or something.